It's good to have you stay here with us on Breakfast Central. Well, Nigeria's ruling All Progressives Congress APC has fixed the cost of its presidential expression of interest in nomination forms at 100 million naira. This was revealed Wednesday by the spokesperson of the party, Felix Morka, at the end of the emergency meeting of the party's National Executive Committee in the nation's capital, Abuja.
According to Morka, the expression of interest form is 30 million naira, while the nomination form will cost 70 million naira. Ahead of the party's primary and general elections, several chieftains of the ruling party, including 8 to President Muhammadu Buhari and 7 governors, have indicated their interest to succeed him when his tenure ends in 2023. Now, they include the current Vice President, Yemi Oshibajo, the national leader of the party, former Governor Bola Tinubu, the current Governor, David Umahi of Ebonyi State, and the Governor, Yahaya Bello himself of Kogi State, among others. Now, joining us on Breakfast Central this morning to discuss this development is Femi Lawson, a political and public analyst. Many thanks for joining the program this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Now, political parties in Nigeria seem to be charging exorbitant prices for nomination forms. We just heard APC now charging 100 million naira. PDP, on the other hand, seems to be charging far less. But what's your take? And how does this impact the politics of administration and justice system?
Well, I think it is within the discretion of the political party to decide or to determine how much it's going to be pushing out its nomination form. Even though as Nigerians, we should be concerned about how much more the role of money is becoming in our politics, especially when you understand that there are laws regarding election financing in the country. Are we really going by the dictates of this law? Is INEC really showing interest in its own, regulations about election financing? Such must start down. The INEC must be interested not only in how much people spend, as campaign funds, but how much more political parties also charge, aspirants who are interested in occupying political positions, across the various political parties. For the PDP and APC, I personally think the amounts that have been reeled out as the cost of nomination forms are bogus, and they are not in the category of funds that can be, of course, that the ordinary Nigerian can afford.
Well. Let's take a look at one of the questions that everyone is talking about, the ruling party APC. Now, APC has put the cost of the expressions of interest and nomination forms for presidential aspirants at 100 million naira. I'm just here thinking to myself, are there existing laws in Nigeria regulating party funding and expenses in the constitution, or is just do as you like?
So there are legal provisions regarding election financing in Nigeria, but I think this has been majorly focused on campaign funding and the election, funding in itself. A lot of times we overlook what these political parties are doing before candidates emerge, an election proper in the process begins. So the INEC must now, and our law must now be made to focus not only on the campaign funding as it is presently by the dictates of the law, but also these stages, including how nomination forms are sold, by political parties, and how Nigerians even get money to purchase this. So the anti-corruption agencies must be interested in how ordinarily a 35-year-old Nigerian would throw 100 million naira, into picking up nomination forms if such person does not have a verifiable means of income. So I think we must look beyond campaign financing, which is where our electoral laws focuses on now, to, of course, pre-campaign activities, including the nomination of candidates that is now witnessing, this huge, kind of amount that is being thrown out as the cost of nomination forms.
All right, Femi, let's also look at the high cost of governance. And when we're talking about high cost of governance, I'm talking about the spending limit now for campaign, because this spending limit has been increased to up to 400%. So in a case where the nomination form or the expression of interest form and the nomination form is going for as high as 100 million, and the youth below 40 years of age are allowed to pay 50%, and women have do not have to pay any money at all, as well as those who are disabled. These forms are free to all of them. How does this encourage people, the youth, to come out and spend such amount of money, knowing fully well that you may or may not even win the election? How does this discourage godfatherism in this kind of scenario?
It is not in any way encouraging, especially when you look at the fact that the same government that and the same party has been behind, the eventual, achievement of getting young people to run for elected positions at lower age by the virtue of the not too young to run, act signed by the president in the other time. If on one hand we are encouraging young people to participate in politics, to come into governance, and on the other hand we are placing fields that are not realistically achievable by young people. The truth is that the average young person between the ages of 25 and 40 that the party has given the option of paying 50% of nomination cannot really afford this under the current circumstances we live in this country, except for a very privileged few who are from a very wealthy background or have been able to get into business at a very early age. Nobody practically can be able to afford, for instance, even 50 million if it is 50% to vie for the presidency of this country. How many young people can actually have 25 million naira to throw into buying nomination form if he wants to be governor of his or our state? So it is not encouraging in any way, and it sounds contradictory to the determination of the administration to encourage young people by the virtue of being not too young to run act, which already exists in the country. I think in pushing out the kind of policies behind the cost of nomination form by these political parties, such issues such as what the administration has done in encouraging young people must be put into consideration. You cannot continue to encourage young people to participate in politics and at the same time be chasing them away with the amount of fee payable to obtain nomination form from the political parties.
Well, it was reported that the APC, that's NEC, adopted indirect primaries for the election of its candidates in the 2023 general elections. Tell us what this means, and is it true of a position of such party?
Well, fundamentally, immediately after that report came out, having been the resolution of the National Executive Committee of the party, the spokesman of the party, Mr. Morka, was in the media later that day to clarify the fact that the party has not taken a stand on the zoning of its offices and the mode of its primary. So I think it's important we correct that impression that the APC has already adopted a mode of primary. I think one of the resolutions of that NEC was to empower the NWC to determine mode of primaries, especially for governorship and other positions, on the basis of the peculiarity of the states. So the party has not in any way come out with a clear-cut position on the mode of primary to elect its presidential candidates come May 31.
All right, now looking at Governor Yahya Bello, putting him in the picture now, despite the purported zoning of the presidential candidate of the APC to the south, this Governor Yahya Bello, he seems unfazed and unperturbed. Where is this confidence emanating from?
Well, I think, just like I said, the party has not zoned its presidential ticket to any of the zones of the party, even though there has been agitation by a lot of interest groups that the next president of Nigeria must come from the south. But we must always be conscious of the fact that the Constitution allows every eligible Nigerian, especially those that are qualified according to the dictates of our Constitution, to vie for any position, including the position of the presidency or the president of Nigeria. So the law does not bar Governor Yahya Bello, just like every other aspirant, from contesting election. And I think if you look at the main opposition political party also, it has cleverly avoided the issue of zoning. And that is why it has thrown it open to every aspirant within the party as it is today. And I think it is not impossible that the APC may be on the same path, since it has not come out clearly, just about 5 weeks away to the primary to state that this is where the presidential ticket of the party is being zoned to. So Governor Abelo, just like every other aspirant within the party, I think have the right to aspire that it is now going to be the decision of the party members to decide who the presidential candidate will be for the 2023 presidential election.
All right, finally, do you think it is fair for the national chairman and the presidential candidate of the APC to come from a same zone or region, since Malam Adamu is now the chairman of the party?
Just like I said, the Constitution, takes precedence over every other consideration. And I think one of those things we will be interested in ahead of 2023 is the scorecard that candidates are bringing, to before Nigerians to contest for this election. We are going to be interested in the quality of candidates much more. Good, it is in the interest of fairness, equity, and whatever I want to call it, to have the president of candidate coming from a particular region of the country. But for somebody like a Governor Yahya, you must understand that it's also coming from one of those sections of the country that has been agitating to have the presidency of Nigeria. It's coming from a very, minority ethnic group that has been excluded from the privilege of producing the president of Nigeria even since the return of this republic in 1999. So there are a lot of factors that, beyond the zoning, that Governor Yahya brings on board. Beyond the zoning, factor, it's also coming on board from my distant view of him, with a lot of record of his, performance as the governor of Kogi State, especially for those who are familiar with that state. If you look at the question of security, how he has been able to manage a state that is bordered by about 10 states and, maintain peace, that has ensured that the culture of ethnic hostilities that Kogi was known for is no longer there. And if you look at, of course, the fiscal transformation going on in this state, I think these are the scorecards that he, as an aspirant, and just like every other aspirant, should bring before Nigerians if they are interested in actually leading Nigeria in 2023.
All right. Thank you so much, Femi Lawson, for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central, and of course, breaking it down for us as well.